Bonjour à toutes et à tous et merci de nous retrouver dans la salle de presse virtuelle de la Commission européenne. Nous sommes le lundi 24 août et nous avons quelques annonces à vous faire avant de passer à vos éventuelles questions. Permettez-moi d'abord de passer la parole à Martha qui va se connecter pour vous donner des nouvelles sur SURE, l'instrument de la Commission pour aider les travailleurs à maintenir leurs revenus et pour garder les compagnies européennes à flot pendant cette période difficile de la crise du coronavirus. Martha, à toi.
Bonjour, merci Dana. Effectivement, the Commission has today presented proposals to the Council for decisions to grant financial support of 81.4 billion to 15 member states under the SURE instrument. The countries are the following. It's Belgium, Bulgaria, Czechia, Greece, Spain, Croatia, Italy, Cyprus, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. Portugal and Hungary have also submitted formal requests, which will be assessed shortly. We expect to put forward proposals for those two countries to grant financial support in the coming days. Once the Council approves these proposals, the financial support will be provided in the form of loans granted on favorable terms. These loans will assist Member States in addressing sudden increases in public expenditures to preserve employment, as Dana just explained. And more details and the figures for each Member State are available in the press release, which we have just published online. Thank you very much.
Very much, Marta. I will now invite Dan to connect to provide you details about preferential trade measures with pan-Euro-Mediterranean countries. Dan, over to you.
Thanks very much, Dana. La Commission européenne a adopté aujourd'hui un ensemble de propositions visant à augmenter les échanges entre l'Union européenne et les pays voisins de la région pan-euro-méditerranée, contribuant ainsi à la reprise économique. Les propositions présentées aujourd'hui doivent moderniser les accords commerciaux préférentiels de l'Union européenne, qui représentaient 677 milliards d'euros en 2019, avec 20 partenaires commerciaux de la région pan-euro-méditerranée. Ils vont rendre les règles d'origine de ces accords plus souples et plus favorables aux entreprises. Ces propositions modifient les accords bilatéraux de l'Union européenne avec les pays suivants: Islande, Liechtenstein, Norvège, Suisse, îles Féroé, Turquie, Égypte, Israël, Jordanie, Liban, Palestine, Géorgie, République de Moldavie, Ukraine, Albanie, Bosnie-Herzégovine, Macédoine du Nord, Monténégro, Serbie et Kosovo. Un communiqué de presse et un mémo sont disponibles en ligne pour d'autres informations. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Dan. Nous sommes désormais prêts à prendre vos questions. So I'm just trying to see who indicated a wish to ask a question, and I see that Naomi has her hand raised. So Naomi, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks very much for taking my question. So my question regards Commissioner Hogan. On Friday, we have a statement from Balazs, which says that Commissioner Hogan, and I quote, travelled to the golf event in County Galway directly from County Kilkenny. Now the Commissioner admits that, in fact, he was in Kildare on his way because he was stopped for by the police for using his mobile phone while driving. Has Commissioner Hogan been truthful in his statements to the Commission? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Naomi, which enables me to provide a broader perspective on this matter, which we have been discussing since Friday. This is just to reiterate that this is a matter which requires careful assessment on our side. It is a matter where details count. Therefore, the President has requested Commissioner Hogan to provide a full report covering the matters that you mentioned. And the President has received such a report from Commissioner Hogan last night. She is now looking at it. Matters and details are important, as I said. the President has requested further clarifications because details are important and she wishes to have them. You mentioned the fact that it's about moves in the across counties in Ireland. It is, of course, very difficult for the Commission to establish if such moves were in line with regulations which differ from county to county. But again, we have been informed through a report by Commissioner Hogan, and we are now carefully analyzing what he shared with us before completing our assessment. Thank you very much. I see that Naomi's microphone is, well, Naomi's hand is still raised. So Naomi, do you wish to ask a follow-up question on this?
Yeah, thanks very much. Just a quick follow-up, and thanks for that, Donna. So obviously it's a very delicate time in Commissioner Hogan's work for a number of reasons, given the international trade situation and also the Brexit talks. But how essential is Commissioner Hogan's work, given that he himself was prepared to leave and run for the head of the WTO? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question, Naomi. The work of every member of the college is important. Every member fulfills an important role in relation to his portfolio or her portfolio and in relation to the broader political work of the Commission. And I have no further remarks to make on this point. Everybody understands the importance of the trade portfolio. We have on Friday had an announcement about a trade-related issue. So again, trade is important, but as are all other portfolios, and all members of the college need to fulfill their role fully focused on their mandate. I invite you to ask additional questions about this matter if you have any, because our habit is that of grouping questions thematically. I see that John has his hand raised, so if the matter is about this, John, go ahead.
Yes, just to follow up on this, if the President of the Commission has asked for details about the situation, does that mean that ultimately the decision lies with her as to whether or not he should resign?
John, I think that you are familiar with the rules regarding the composition of the college and how commissioners are appointed and how their mandate can finish. And it is indeed the case that according to Article 17 of the treaty, the mandate of a commissioner can end upon his resignation or when he is requested to resign by the President of the Commission. So this is strictly factually what the treaty is saying on how a mandate of a commissioner can be terminated. I see now a question, perhaps a follow-up question from John, I understand, because your hand is still raised, unless that's not the case. No, it doesn't seem to be the case, but I believe that Nick has an additional question on this subject. If that's the case, Nick, go ahead.
Hi there. Yeah, thanks, Dana. I appreciate you say it's hard for you to sort of establish in terms of the local regulations, but using your mobile phone whilst driving, I would imagine that's a criminal offence in every EU member state. So, I mean, how much of a sort of a bearing is that going to play? I mean, the Commission's responsible for, certain road safety and road transport regulations. Can you sort of, really have someone in the Commission who broke that rule? And yeah, aren't you worried that sort of undermines the credibility of the body a bit? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Nick. Indeed, what I can say about that matter is that traffic incidents are for the local authorities, mostly for the police to address and deal with. And it is not a matter for us to comment about such traffic-related incidents involving commissioners or anyone else. And we, of course, trust that the local authorities deal with the matter according to their procedures and what is safe for travelers. Once more on this matter, it is important, of course, for the President that rules are respected in respect to coronavirus moves, then in respect to quarantine regulations and recommendations in particular. It is also important for the President to be fair. So this is why it is essential that all facts are being provided, are being put on the table with the necessary clarifications and details before one can complete the assessment. She's in the process of gathering facts, and this is where we stand now. I wonder if there are any other questions about this matter today. I see Joe's hand being raised. So, Joe, go ahead.
Thank you, Dana. Just quickly on the mobile telephone situation, would you, as the Commission, ask an official driver to resign from their post if they are caught using a mobile telephone while at the wheel of their car, basically on service? Because as I understand, Phil Hogan was travelling to pick up documents which related to EU and US trade policy. And then my next question would be, has the Commission President asked Mr. Hogan to actually kind of not confront the media, but address the media and actually make a genuine apology? Because there is some concern in Ireland, it seems, that his apology hasn't been enough as of yet. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Joe. In relation to the first one, again, it is important for the Commission that rules are respected. In relation to traffic, these are also a matter of safety. The Commission, as you know, is committed through very ambitious action plans to ensure safety of European roads, or to help ensure safety on European roads. As to the specific incident, again, it is a matter for the local authorities to address in the best way possible. And in general, of course, we would require drivers, or we would recommend to Commission officials in general to respect the rules in relation to any use of devices or any other matters which pertain to road safety. With regards to Commissioner Hogan and him issuing an apology, you have surely followed over the past days the sequence of communications which he has put out in the public domain, in particular tweets on Friday, whereby he clarified his participation to the event which took place last Wednesday. The dinner at the golf, basically the golf-related dinner, and he also his moves during the period of self-isolation following his return to Ireland. You have also seen that yesterday Commissioner Hogan issued an apology, a public one, in Ireland through the Commission's representation there. And I have confidence that Commissioner Hogan will be available to explain in a public way further the important matters linked to the subject that we are discussing. I wonder if there are any additional questions about that before we go to other topics. Joe, you have a follow-up.
Yes, please. Do you think issuing a apology via means of a Twitter thread is generally acceptable when the politicians that attended this dinner broke the rules while people in Ireland could not attend funerals of their loved ones? To me personally, I don't think a Twitter thread really suffices as an apology. When are we going to see Mr. Hogan, in his capacity as a European Commissioner, actually make a genuine apology himself?
So, first of all, we feel for the people of Ireland who, like many other people and communities in the European Union over the past months, had to go through difficult times to comply with strict regulations in order to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Many have lost loved ones, many others have been ill, and others have suffered from the restrictions. So this is why it is important that rules are respected. This is a matter not just of respecting the rules, but this is also a matter of public health. There are legal aspects involved, and there are moral aspects involved as well. As to the way in which Commissioner Hogan has expressed himself publicly over the past days, I am confident that he would be ready to provide additional explanation in the public domain through other channels as well, in addition to those that you have been referred to above, in particular social media. I understand that Kevin now has a question, and I assume it's about the same thing. So you can go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. You say the President is assessing all the matters relating to this. I'm wondering when we can expect a full response from the President. And secondly, is all of this a distraction to the work the Commission is doing at such a crucial time?
Thank you very much for the question, Kevin. So, as I said, we have a report from Commissioner Hogan, which was received last night. The President is looking at it and has requested clarifications and further details. It depends on what those further details and clarifications say before the President can make an assessment or can complete her assessment based on the full picture which she needs before deciding on such an important matter, where, again, details and circumstances count as well. The work of the Commission, on the other hand, is proceeding. You have seen perhaps that even last Friday we have made an announcement about progress that has been made in trade negotiations between the EU and the US. So I can safely say that at this stage there is no hindrance on the work of the Commission, which would stem from the matter that we are discussing now. And it's important for the President that no hindrance takes place in relation to this or any other matter. So it's important to ensure that nothing distracts the Commission from pursuing its very important work and mission, in particular at these times where we need to deal with a serious crisis provoked by the coronavirus. I understand that Lauren now has a question, and I would just want you to clarify that this is on the same matter, because we'd like to...
Yes.
Yes, so please go ahead.
Yes, Lorne Cook, Associated Press. You've said a few times now that the President believes that the rules should be respected. I just want to pin you down a little bit on that. Does the President believe that quarantine rules, lockdown rules, mandatory testing, all these other kinds of things should apply to all members of the college as they apply to any other citizen? And I'm just wondering more specifically with the President, has she returned from Germany? Has she been obliged to go into any kind of quarantine? Because there was between Belgium and Germany some quarantine requirement, at least for a while, but of course these things move and maybe that's changed. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Lauren. Indeed, it's a very important one. I think that, as I had the opportunity to say on Friday, it is important for the President that members of the College and Commission officials in general, for that matter, respect the rules and the guidelines in relation to coronavirus, as well as in general, but as well as when they return to the office, which most will do or have already done in the past days. So indeed, she does expect commissioners to comply with the same rules as citizens do, and to inform themselves very carefully about the rules, which, as we know, are subject to frequent changes depending on the epidemiological situation, not just at national level, but also at local level. In relation to President von der Leyen herself, she is now indeed in Brussels, and she is not subject to any quarantine rules stemming from the fact that she returned from a region of Germany from which no such requirements are being in place right now. Thank you, Lauren. I am just checking if any colleagues have questions about the same matter. And I understand that Alex has a question about the same issue. If that's the case, Alex, please go ahead. We are checking on your microphone, Alex. You don't seem to be to have a microphone which is open, so perhaps you can try again to connect yourself. No, it doesn't seem to work. So I suggest that we go back to Alex at a later stage. And I now invite other colleagues, if they have additional questions on this matter, before we go to other subjects. No, I don't see any other questions today. And then I see that Athanasios wishes to ask us a question about something else. Athanasios, go ahead.
And as we used to say, let me take you elsewhere. So, in the Mediterranean right now, it seems that Turkey has renewed its navigational telex concerning the area under dispute, where some exploration is happening under a vessel called the Roots Race. And at the same time, there is a German initiative for bringing together the two countries in dialogue. First of all, I would like to ask you, are you aware of the German initiative and how and in which way the External Action Service and the High Representative is involved in the actual process of the dialogue and the facilitation of the dialogue? And secondly, how do you comment on the renewal of these NAFTEX at the time where the two countries supposedly will sit on the table? Is that something that facilitates the whole process or not? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question, Athanasios. This would be one for Nabila to answer, so I invite her to join me on stage.
Hello, Athanasios. Thank you for your question. As you know, I would want to take you back to the Council conclusions of the European Summit of the 19th August, where we said that the situation in the Eastern, as you know, that the situation was raised by some member states at the European Council. The leaders expressed their concern about the growing tensions and stressed the urgent need to de-escalate. They also expressed their full solidarity with Greece and Cyprus and recalled and reaffirmed their previous conclusions on the illegal drilling activities. They agreed to revert to these issues during their meeting in September, and all options will be on the table. I would like to also remind you that this will be discussed at the next, in 3 days, or at the Gymnich in a few, I would say on Thursday, I think. And this is where we will be discussing, or the ministers, or the foreign affairs ministers will be discussing at length the situation in the Eastern Mediterranean.
Thank you very much. Nabila?
I'm sorry, but I think he had a second question,
yes.
But I'm not sure what it was.
Yes, Athanasios, could you repeat your second question for Nabila?
The question was basically if you're aware or involved in the German initiative, first of all, and second, how does the renewal of the NAFTEX issued by Turkey help the situation while the dialogue is on the way?
Then I would go back to what I said earlier, that basically the situation will be discussed among the Foreign Affairs Council ministers, and I would wait and see and get my information there at this point in time. Thank you, Athanasios.
Thank you very much, Nabila. I will now invite colleagues to ask additional questions to Nabila, first on this topic in relation to Turkey. In case there are such questions, please keep your hand raised. It's better to try to group the questions by topic. I don't see any question on Turkey for Nabila. Therefore, I open the floor to questions for Nabila, so on foreign affairs, but on any other matters that you would be interested in. And I see that there is interest from Andres to address this question with Nabila. Andres, go ahead. Andres, I wonder if you are connected to ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello. Yes, I'm sorry. It's not for Nabila. It's about the SURE program.
All right, then I would kindly invite you to wait to see if we have additional questions for Nabila today on any other matters that she covers of foreign affairs before giving you the floor to discuss SURE. So any other questions for Nabila at this stage today? That doesn't seem to be the case. So Nabila, thank you. And Andres, please go ahead. Oh, unless Mose has a question for Nabila, and he took a bit longer to raise his hand. Mose, is your question for Nabila? Mose, can you hear us?
Yes, in fact, there was another question also about SURE, about the announcement by Marta.
All right.
Hello?
All right. Thank you.
If I can take the...
Thank you. So then Nabila is free, and I would like to give the floor to Andres to ask his question about SURE.
Hello. Hi. Yes, I would like to ask you about what do you expect the countries will receive the money that you have approved? I know it goes through the council first, but what dates do you handle? And also, I would like to ask you if the countries will receive the money in one term or in several terms, or how this will go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andres. I will now invite Marta to connect in order to provide you answers to this. Marta?
Yes, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. So I'm afraid I cannot give you specific dates at this moment for the next steps, but I'm happy to outline the next, indeed, steps that have to take place before the Commission can start disbursing loans to the member states. Of course, the Commission has now issued proposals to the Council. Those will need to be adopted by the Council. And I would invite you to check with the Council press service about the possible dates for discussions or adoption of such proposals. But another important step is the finalization of the guarantee system. At this moment, those guarantees have been provided by the vast majority of member states, but not all. So the Commission will be able to provide first loans under the SURE as soon as all member states have completed their bilateral guarantee agreements with the Commission. And again, we expect this process to be completed very shortly. In parallel, of course, the Commission is already establishing all the relevant procedures to allow a smooth implementation of the new instrument and a swift disbursement as soon as those guarantees become available. And on your second question regarding the way the disbursements will take place, I would actually invite you to consult the Council, the proposal for the Council implementing decision for Spain and all the other member states, where we explain that the disbursements will be done in several installments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta. I will now invite you to ask additional questions about SURE, if you have any. So, Mose, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dana. Yeah, in fact, I also had a similar question to Marta, and maybe she already has partly replied to it, and that was about the conditions for putting this SURE instrument in place. As she said, and I remember also from when it was announced the first time, that there is a need for voluntary guarantees by all member states, up to 25% of the total, of the maximum amount of 100 billion euro. As Marta said, the Commission hasn't yet received those guarantees from all member states. So my follow-up question would be, I mean, which member states have not yet provided such guarantees? Thank you.
Thank you. Marta, please.
Thank you, Monse, for your question. So the Commission has been and is still in contact with all member states to take the final necessary steps to commit their guarantees to the Union. This is, of course, a very complex process because national procedures vary depending on member states. In some cases, it requires the involvement of national parliaments. And as I said, the vast majority of member states have provided their guarantees, and we expect the process to be completed very shortly. And more generally, we welcome the fact that all member states have proceeded as quickly as possible with their relevant national procedures to allow to complete their guarantee agreements. And perhaps another point of specification here, of course, the guarantee agreements would have all the guarantee agreements will have to be put in place by the Council decision on the proposal we have made today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional questions on SURE for Marta? I see that Mathieu has his hand raised. So, Mathieu, vas-y, si c'est pour Marta et si c'est au sujet de SURE.
Oui, bonjour. Sur SURE, effectivement, est-ce que vous vous attendez à ce que d'autres pays qui ne sont pas cités dans le communiqué, je pense à la France notamment, fasse une demande officielle et concernant les termes des prêts, est-ce que vous avez des infos concernant le taux d'intérêt et les maturités de ces prêts?
Thank you for the question. Mathieu, Marta?
Oui, merci Mathieu pour ta question. Donc effectivement, nous avons annoncé que 15 États membres que la Commission a proposé d'assurer un support pour 15 États membres. 2 États membres, donc le Portugal et la Hongrie, nous ont contactés aussi avec une demande formelle pour le soutien que nous sommes en train d'analyser. Donc nous allons faire des propositions au Conseil dans les prochains jours. En fait, le processus reste ouvert à tous les autres États membres. Donc, il reste encore l'enveloppe et donc jusqu'à 100 milliards peut être encore accordée aux autres États membres qui souhaitent la demander. Et les États membres ont jusqu'à 2022 pour le faire. Donc voilà. Donc nous attendons d'autres demandes si les États membres souhaitent le faire. Sur ta deuxième question, en ce qui concerne les conditions des prêts que la Commission va accorder, ce que je peux dire à cette étape, c'est que la Commission, dans les propositions que je viens d'évoquer, a fixé la maturité des prêts en moyenne à 15 ans. Et ça s'applique à tous les États membres. Par contre, en ce qui s'agit des taux d'intérêt, ce n'est pas quelque chose qui peut être fixé maintenant parce que ce sont des taux d'intérêt auxquels la Commission va emprunter l'argent sur le marché et ensuite appliquer aux prêts qu'elle va donner aux États membres. Donc, ce sera fixé au moment où la Commission ira sur le marché. Voilà, merci.
Thank you very much, Marta. I now invite you to indicate your interest to ask further questions to Marta on SURE by keeping your hand raised. I see that Tommaso has his hand raised, and I wonder if this is a question for Marta on SURE. Is that so, Tommaso?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon. Thank you for the floor. It's just a technical detail. I was wondering if the Commission expects to issue bonds at negative interest rates or positive. Thank you.
Marta, over to you to answer this question.
Thank you, Tommaso. As I just explained to Mathieu, as regards the interest rates, the Commission will be basically passing on the rates. The Commission will borrow at the market, so member states will be charged the same interest rate as the Commission borrows it. So this still needs to be determined. So I cannot say more at this stage, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions for Marta on SURE at this point? This doesn't seem to be the case. So I will now open the floor to other questions, other subjects. And I see Lily has her hand raised. Lily, go ahead. Lily, are you connected? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
now?
We see you, we hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. My question is on a bit of a different subject. So last week, the Hungarian government awarded a state prize to a man by the name of Ernő Rafai. He's one of Hungary's most well-known anti-Semites. He has, on multiple occasions in public places in front of many people, said that at various times in Hungarian history there were too many Jewish people in Hungary. He has engaged in a lot of conspiracies about the Jewish community, and yet last week he was awarded a state prize. So I was wondering if the Commission's anti-Semitism coordinator or any of the commissioners have been in touch over the past few days with the Hungarian government about this matter. Thank you.
Lily, I will give the floor to Christian to provide you our position on this and, if possible, an update. He's joining me on stage.
Yes, hello Lily. Well, what I can do is give you our very clear position when it comes to tackling anti-Semitism. The Commission stands firmly against all forms of anti-Semitism. This phenomenon is incompatible with the values and principles on which the EU is founded. The Commission regards all forms of anti-Semitism as equally pernicious and actively fights against all types of racism and xenophobia, including anti-Semitism, in line with the powers conferred to it by the treaties. As you will know, President von der Leyen has entrusted Vice President Skinas to lead the fight against anti-Semitism, and indeed our coordinator against anti-Semitism is doing a lot of work in this respect. I'm not aware whether she has particularly had any context in relation to the matter you raised. I will check that. And I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't have any particular comment on the incident you mentioned, but we'll look into it.
Thank you, Christian. I will now invite you to ask additional questions to Christian on this or on other matters that he covers. On this matter first, if anyone wishes to pursue the exchange. I see that Eric has his hand raised. So Eric, I assume your question is for Christian.
Non, c'est autre chose.
OK. Donc alors, permets-moi de relancer la demande, l'invitation plutôt à d'autres collègues qui ont peut-être d'autres questions pour Christian, puisqu'il est ici sur le podium. Mais je ne vois pas d'autres mains levées. Donc je remercie Christian. Et je te passe la parole, Eric, pour ta question.
Oui, merci bien. J'aurais une question encore une fois sur la crise du corona et les restrictions de voyage. L'Allemagne vient de lancer une restriction concernant la région de Bruxelles et la capitale de Bruxelles, donc la capitale de l'Europe. Est-ce que cet avertissement contre les voyages touristiques a été concerté avec la Commission européenne? Est-ce qu'elle vous paraît justifiée et est-ce que vous craignez des conséquences pour le travail à la Commission et au Conseil? Merci.
Merci pour la question, Eric. Il n'est pas pour la Commission, il n'est pas approprié pour la Commission de commenter si les mesures sont justifiées ou pas. Comme tu le sais, c'est au niveau national et parfois même au niveau régional qu'on prend les décisions concernant les règles des quarantaines et des restrictions, parce que l'idée est d'adapter ces mesures aux besoins locaux. Donc, il n'y a pas un autre commentaire que nous aimerions faire là-dessus, outre que c'est effectivement pour le niveau national de décider de ces restrictions sur la base des critères objectifs, surtout l'évolution épidémiologique de la situation et bien évidemment en prenant en compte les recommandations et les évaluations des risques de notre agence ECDC. En ce qui concerne l'impact sur le travail de la Commission lors de la présidence allemande, je vais inviter Balázs à donner quelques détails sur des sur les mesures qui ont été demandées pour être en place, pour pouvoir permettre éventuellement, dans des cas nécessaires, à des fonctionnaires européens à participer aux travaux de la présidence allemande en Allemagne.
Oui, tout à fait. Donc, j'ai tout simplement un commentaire bref. Donc, on a bien étudié les mesures qui ont été introduites par le gouvernement allemand. Et bien évidemment, lorsqu'il s'agit des voyages, des passages de Bruxelles vers l'Allemagne, on va bien évidemment observer et respecter les règles. Et on ne voit pas du tout une difficulté en termes de coopération avec les autorités allemandes et notamment avec la présidence allemande. On va encore une fois respecter et suivre les règles introduites par les autorités allemandes.
Effectivement, nous coopérons pleinement. Il est important que les règles soient respectées parce qu'il est important pour que chacun joue son rôle pour éviter la propagation du coronavirus. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions à ce sujet ou sur d'autres sujets que Balázs couvre, puisqu'il est sur scène? Eric, tu as une question de suivi.
Voilà, une question de suivi. Cette mesure concerne aussi les journalistes. Ils ne peuvent plus voyager librement à Berlin ou rentrer de Berlin à Bruxelles. Donc, le travail des journalistes est bel et bien concerné. Et je me tourne un peu parce que c'est la présidence du Conseil européen, la présidence allemande, qui restricte, qui donne une mesure de restriction de voyage pour la capitale de l'Europe. Et ça ne vous concerne pas alors? Merci.
Merci pour tes précisions, Eric. Comme nous avons dit, il est vraiment de la responsabilité et du ressort des autorités nationales de prendre les décisions sur les zones à risque du point de vue de la propagation du coronavirus. Et il est important que nous fassions attention tous afin de respecter les mesures qui ont été prises. Nous prenons notre responsabilité comme Commission européenne et nous allons tout mettre en œuvre en pratique pour pouvoir participer à des réunions en Allemagne dans les mesures et en suivant les règles et les demandes que les autorités allemandes ont introduites. Et il nous semble important de se plier à ces demandes ou à ces nouvelles règles qui ont été mises en place avec un but de santé publique. Et nous espérons chaleureusement que les journalistes pourraient faire ainsi et que votre travail de couvrir la présidente allemande ne va pas être entravé par ces mesures liées au coronavirus. Merci pour cela, Eric. Je vous invite maintenant à poser d'autres questions à Balázs, si vous en avez. Je ne vois pas d'autres mains levées aujourd'hui, donc merci Balázs. Et je vous invite maintenant à poser d'autres questions sur d'autres sujets, si vous en avez. Et je vois effectivement que Ekrem a levé sa main. Ekrem, please go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ekrem, we can hear you and we can see you.
Good. I have a question on foreign relations that I think it goes for Stano. I would like to know whether the office of Mr. Lajcak and Mr. Borrell are aware about the l'ordre du jour of the topics that are going to be discussed in Washington between Kosovo and Serbia, and whether Mr. Lajcak has talked recently to the organizer of the meeting, that means Mr. Grenell.
Thank you very much for your question, Ekrem. This would be for Nabila to answer in the absence of Peter. But after a quick eye contact with Nabila, I understand that she will get back to you later. She will try to get the information for you as soon as possible, and she will return to you.
Hello.
Hello, Ekrem. I hope that you heard me.
I'm trying to explain the reason why I'm asking the questions, this question, because we saw from the last time meeting here in Brussels that the next point of the l'ordre du jour of discussions between the two countries will be also the economic issue, while we hear that the economic issue will be discussed also in Washington. So the idea is how to avoid the duplication of talking both subjects there and here in Brussels at the same time.
Thank you very much for the question. I think this provides further context to Nabila for her query and for her quest for an answer to it. She will revert back to you very rapidly after this midday briefing with an answer. Thank you, Ekrem. Are there any other questions for us today? I see a question from Nick. Nick, please go ahead.
Thanks, Dana. It's just a quick one for Dan on Brexit. I sort of heard some briefings or what have you over the weekends that the UK is working around the clock on its no-deal planning and suggesting that the UK side think that the EU is underpricing the risk of no deal a bit. So I just wanted to ask for sort of the latest on the Commission's no deal planning. Are you planning to ramp it up or increase it over the next couple of months? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. I will invite Dan to connect and to provide you an answer. Hi, Dan.
Thanks. Hi, Dana again, and hi, Nick. I mean, you've heard from Michel Barnier on Friday with regards to the state of play of the negotiations themselves and the latest on substance when it comes to the negotiations. I think we've said on a number of occasions that whether or not there's an agreement at the end of the year, the UK's decision to leave the single market and the customs union will inevitably create barriers to trade and cross-border exchanges that simply do not exist today. These changes are unavoidable. You know that. We've explained it a number of occasions. That is why we have been informing national administrations and stakeholders and European businesses about the necessary readiness measures that people need to take before the end of the year. You will, of course, be aware of the readiness communication that we published on the 9th of July. That's available in 23 different languages. You'll be aware as well of the readiness notices that we are publishing and frequently updating as well for our stakeholders. And you may have noticed as well, Michel Barnier referred to this on Friday. We are currently carrying out a virtual tour of capitals at the moment to explain to national administrations and stakeholders about all the different readiness measures that needs to be taken by the end of the year. And I'm sure that you're well aware as well of Michel Barnier's daily tweets now at this stage about readiness. So that's all I'd have to say there. Of course, we continue with the negotiations. The next round of negotiations will take place the week of the 7th of September. And between then and now, we will, of course, remain in contact with the UK in order to make progress.
Thank you, Dan. I hope that's clear. Do you have any additional questions for Dan today, whether on Brexit or on anything else? I understand that Catherine has a question for Dan. So if that's the case, Catherine, please go ahead.
Yes, just a quick question, Dan. I read somewhere that there had been progress on money laundering issues. And this is recognised as a very big problem in the UK, with the National Crime Agency estimating that 100 billion is laundered in the UK every year. So I'm just wondering if you've got anything to say on that, and would it be a welcome positive development?
Dan, go ahead. I hope we can still have Dan on the line, that he's still connected. Yes, he's there.
Sorry, apologies. Hi, Catherine. No, Michel Barnier mentioned indeed anti-money laundering, a cooperation in the area of anti-money laundering as one of the positive steps this week. This is a very complicated area, as you know, and it was already highlighted in the political declaration that was agreed back in October with the UK. As talks are ongoing, you'll understand that I can't go into the specific details of this at this stage, but indeed all I would say on a more general note is that this is one of those areas where there has been positive movement over the past week. But I'd be very, very happy to keep you in the loop if there's any further developments on this over the coming weeks.
Thank you, Dan. I will now invite you to ask additional questions to Dan on Brexit if you have. This doesn't seem to be the case from what I can see in the system. No hand raised. And are there any additional questions on any other matter for us today? That doesn't seem to be the case either, so thank you very much, bon appétit, and see you tomorrow.